Let me tell you something that most people never realize until they're deep into entrepreneurship. If you think about all of the people at the highest level, think about your mentors, think about all the people you want to be like, or all the people's businesses that you want to emulate, the artists whose books are full, the coaches, and maybe the product lines that are scaling to seven figures, these founders in the industry that are building empires and you're seeing them speak everywhere, they're actually not the smartest. And that's the most annoying part. They're not the most talented and they're not even like the prettiest. They don't even post the best content necessarily. And it boils down to this. They simply have the highest uncertainty tolerance. And that's it. So for some reason, their nervous system can handle it more than the average person. And I really think that's what separates the business owners who rise from the business owners that quit. Your capacity for success is directly tied to your capacity to sit in that entrepreneurial uncertainty without spiraling. Because if you want that sustainable success, that God-honoring success, you have to be uncomfortable and learn to kind of live that way. Obedience is uncomfortable. Faith is uncomfortable. When you think God is calling you to something, right? Do you think he hands you the blueprint? No. You know what he hands you? He hands you the fog. He hands you one direction, not a map. And most people, when the fog rolls in, I think most people freak out. We interpret discomfort as danger. And we assume, because we're human, that uncertainty means you're off track. But uncertainty is actually how you build your business. You build your business in uncertainty, right? And that's where your faith gets forged. That's when, God checks, hey, do you trust me? Like 1 minute at a time? Or do you only trust clarity? How's business for everyone around Thanksgiving and the holidays? Good? Anyone?
I seem that I tend to slow down a little bit around the holidays, which is, I feel like it's odd.
I mean, this is typically the time where people want services for gifts. I think the positioning this time is about gift giving. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think positioning right now shifts a little bit because it is around the holidays towards, is this going to be useful for what's on people's minds at the moment? Today, it's going to be all about how we all deal with uncertainty. Okay, so because I don't know if you guys have been on previous Bay Boiler Rooms in the last couple of weeks, but I've been talking a lot about discipline and romanticizing that. But honestly, let me tell you something that most people never realize until they're deep into entrepreneurship, and you're probably experiencing that now. You're deep into it, right? You're waist high. You're like, maybe it's going over your head at this point. The people, if you think about all of the people at the highest level, think about your mentors, think about all the people you want to be like, or all the people's businesses that you want to emulate. The artists whose books are full, the coaches, and maybe the product lines that are scaling to seven figures, these founders in the industry that are building empires and you're seeing them speak everywhere, they're actually not the smartest. And that's the most annoying part. They're also not the most talented. They're not the most talented and they're not even like the prettiest. They don't even post the best content necessarily. And it boils down to this. They simply have the highest uncertainty tolerance. And that's it. So for some reason, their nervous system can handle it more than the average person. And I really think that's what separates the business owners who rise from the business owners that quit. Right? So your capacity for success is directly tied to your capacity to sit in that entrepreneurial uncertainty without spiraling. Because if you want that sustainable success, that God honoring success, you have to be uncomfortable and learn to kind of live that way. Obedience is uncomfortable. Faith is uncomfortable. When you think God is calling you to something, right? Do you think he hands you the blueprint? No. You know what he hands you? He hands you the fog. He hands you one direction, not a map. And most people, when the fog rolls in, I think most people freak out, and we interpret discomfort as danger, and we assume, because we're human, that uncertainty means you're off track. But uncertainty is actually how you build your business. You build your business in uncertainty, right? And that's where your faith gets forged. That's when, God checks, hey, do you trust me? Like 1 minute at a time? Or do you only trust clarity? Right? When it's really easy to follow through and obey when everything is obvious. But all these people that we look up to, when the women who build empires, the women who, I know you guys are, a lot of you guys are like this, you're changing your lineage. The women that break the ceilings, the ones that can step into the unknown or hold the line in the unknown, you're probably experiencing the algorithm right now. It's changed a little bit. When your DMs are dry, when nobody is validating your every act of perseverance, right? It's like we have to do that for ourselves. You have to keep your promise to yourself without the applause. And it really comes down to one question: your success. How long can you sit in uncertainty and discomfort without losing your commitment? What you committed to when you first started this. If you want a 7-figure business, a 6-figure business, you have to learn to live in uncertainty. You want 20K months, you have to learn to sit through quiet weeks. You want to be a leader, you have to walk into rooms where you don't feel qualified yet. Hey, stop for a second. Did you know that most people who watch the CEO Glow Show are not even subscribed? What? So, if you are on a mission to level up your beauty business, your family life, your prayer life, hit that subscribe button now so we can stay in touch. I think I congratulated a bunch of people the other day when I said I love it when people who don't have 1 million followers post like they do. Because you don't need more motivation, you need more endurance. So let's focus on that, right? It's like I said, God gives you the fog, and it's really annoying. You just need the ability to keep moving. For those of you at PRB, you have this strategy. Dare I say that uncertainty is the tax that pays for greatness, or if you want to achieve anything that your family members have never achieved or your lineage has never achieved, because people quit. If God wants to hand you a long-term blessing, then you can't be somebody with short-term endurance. Does that feel like anybody right now? Like even my life today, you have to operate without constant reassurance. You do with anything. And how can you stay faithful in the fog? If you are that kind of person, if your faith is that strong, you become the kind of woman that hell is terrified of. So if your business feels uncertain right now because of the holidays, know that it's a nurture season. Usually December is a nurture season. It's not necessary. It can be a sales season if you position your business, your product, your service in the right way. But if you feel like you're building with no blueprint, it's because you're the one called to create that blueprint. So it boils down to this. Your capacity for success is directly tied to your capacity for uncertainty. And the women who rise, the women who don't demand comfort before obedience are the ones that win. So I want to talk about mastering your uncertainty threshold. Write that down. What is your threshold for uncertainty? Because you have to stay in the room longer than everyone else. If you do that, you will win. So let's talk about the thing that no one tells you when you step into your calling is that it always feels like you're walking through the fog, right? Unqualified, unprepared, unsure, uncomfortable. Something that I always say that my boys understand now is whenever asked me like, "Hey, are you ready?" And they say it for me now. My response is typically, "No, but we go anyway." No, but we go anyway. You ready? No, but we go anyway. That's because the job, obedience, doesn't come with clarity. It's not to crush you, but to grow you. And ready is really a lie. The fog is where, when I've been in the fog in the past, those are the moments where God has really formed me. And here's what nobody's ever going to admit this is that the only difference between the women who fulfill their calling and the ones who tap out early is this. One group waits for clarity, constant reassurance, and the other group just moves through the fog. So entrepreneurship is basically a masterclass in fog management. And as I speak about the fog, I'm looking outside the window right now. It's super foggy outside. There is no guarantee that your content will hit. There's no guarantee that your offer will sell. There's no guarantee that your launch will land. There's no guarantee that, this month will look like last month or the next or the next or the next. But I encourage you guys to check your heart posture. I don't know how this will work, but I know who called me. And that's enough, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say you post a reel and it bombs. You think, well, that was stupid. You DM a lead and she ghosts. You think, see, I knew that I was annoying her. I talked about this last week. It's like, you don't think maybe something tragic happened to her? Maybe she's going through a divorce. Maybe she got into, I don't know, maybe she's just overwhelmed right now. Like we always think it's about us. Let's say you launch something new and you think, I'm not cut out for this. None of those things mean anything. Not in the fog, not in the beginning, not when you're building something. And let me remind you, that's God-sized. The fog doesn't mean it's failing. The fog means it's formative. So I really think that God hides the early growth from us on purpose. So we learn to trust him instead of the metrics. And you're not supposed to see everything yet. And I think that we're called to create faith, right? Moses had no clarity. David had no clarity. Esther had no clarity. Esther's one of my favorite books, right? Paul had no clarity, but they just moved anyway. God isn't looking for the clearest. He's looking for the most faithful, and obedience will always be uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable, I question how faithful you're being, if that's really what God's called you to do. So if you've been feeling confused lately, if you've been feeling that, oh my gosh, I get anxiety all the time, by the way. I thought I was going to pass out this morning. If you feel that anxiety when you check your numbers or you hear that little voice in your head, am I messing up? Like, God, I want to congratulate you. You're in the fog, and that's where faith grows. And here's the thing. Most people who here knows any civilians, by civilians, I mean any W-2 workers in their lives, right? They will do anything to get out of that entrepreneurial discomfort. They will change their niche. They'll switch their offer. They'll take a job that pays almost nothing. They'll rebrand again. They'll quit and start over. But leaders don't do that. It's just your uncertainty tolerance, right? So don't misinterpret it. Don't panic. Just walk one step at a time, one DM at a time, one post at a time, one prayer at a time, because that you're being developed. right? So you have to continue. It's like, it's beyond the vision board Pinterest moment. You have to continue when it's quiet. I don't know, it's kind of quiet day for us today. You have to continue when you're not inspired, right? You have to continue when results aren't matching your effort. This is just all about repetition. You have to continue when your ego is bruised and your emotions are screaming. What is it typically screaming? Stop, this is embarrassing. You're embarrassing us, Sheila. You're embarrassing us. And I think most people can push hard for maybe like a week, some for a month. Some people, very few can push through for a full year every day. Almost none can push through the uncertainty once the motivation has died. But this is all about endurance, right? And so I have a jacket, my husband's favorite jacket on me. It's a leather jacket, and on the back of it says Monster. This Jordan Peterson thing, he talks about be a monster, right? Be a monster. Because if you're a monster, but you use that for good, then that's truly benevolent. But if you're harmless, and you say, I've never harmed anybody, is that really useful? Is that really you being a good person? Be a monster. So if you want to be dangerous in business, be the woman who can keep showing up without anybody clapping for her. Those are the women that God promotes. Endurance is a decision because motivation is fleeting. So if you're discouraged because your discipline doesn't feel good. If you're annoyed because your consistency doesn't feel sexy, good. If you're frustrated that you're not seeing results yet, yes, that is kind of the game. No matter who sees you, no matter who doesn't, no matter how slow it feels, no matter how awkward you feel, no matter how uncertain everything looks, it's about that whoever has the highest tolerance for uncertainty is the woman with the highest capacity for results. I want you to think about it. What is something that you've endured in the past? Motherhood, right? Maybe it was a fitness journey. Maybe it was a relationship, long suffering. Maybe it was school. Maybe it was a job you hated, but you still showed up for. I want you to remember those things, those experiences, so that you can look back and remember that you've already been disciplined before. You've already endured before. You've already stayed committed to something long enough to get good at it before, right? We are the only creatures on earth who can look at something we did in the past and apply that logic to the future. So think about it. Where have you endured in the past? And spiritually, for me, that means if God helped me there and he promised to never leave me, he will help me here too. Did you survive last January when it was slow? Yeah. So these past victories aren't random. It's evidence. It's receipts. It's proof that you're built for hard things. But us women are experts at deleting our own receipts. They talk like, oh, I was only disciplined back then because life forced me to be, or it was just a lucky season. Why do we do that? Or that's not who I am anymore. I just got lucky. No, listen to me. Linda, listen. He didn't give you seasonal strength. He gave you transferable strength. If you've worked hard before, you can work hard again. If you've overcome before, you can overcome again. If you built a life from nothing before, you can build a business from nothing now. Maybe you survived a traumatic relationship. If you've survived hell before, you can handle a slow month. If you've survived a traumatic relationship, you can send a DM and get rejected. If you've been broken up with before, you can get ghosted, right? So when you stack that knowledge, those receipts on top of your calling, you walk into new rooms like, I've been around the block. I may not get it the first time, but I will get it because I don't quit. And that right there is confidence that the enemy can't touch, right? You've seen God move. He doesn't give you strength when you need it. He gives you strength before you need it, and he expects you to use it. So here's your reminder today. You're not weak. You are not starting from zero. You're not fragile. You're not behind. You are a woman with a history of endurance. You've had a period before. You're going to tackle the next period again the same way. You are a woman with receipts. As a part of an exercise, if you dare, I want you to journal what those receipts are. Don't forget that you have the skill of survival. We've all gone through COVID. There's a memory of God's faithfulness in your bones. If you've ever been good at anything, you can be good at this. You can be good at business. You can be good at this season, this stretch. You have to bring that same grit with you. And last week we talked about romanticizing your discipline. It will save you years of frustration because every season has an advantage, right? I think most people waste their season because they're comparing it to somebody else's. If you're under 30 with no kids, no mortgage, no major responsibilities, you are sitting on unlimited potential energy. You can work harder and longer than you will ever be able to. Again, you have the time, you have the energy, you have youth on your side. And if you're not happy with where you are right now, why would you not throw everything you have at your calling in this season while the cost is lowest? I'm speaking to you. Not because of the hustle culture, but because you'll never have fewer responsibilities than you have today. That's a gift. Right? Now, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, babies, clients, school drop-offs, husband, 2 dogs, and a partridge in a pear tree, right? And a whole household on your back. I have 2 mother-in-laws here. Well, with us, we have strategy, we have wisdom, we have that precision. We don't waste time. We know how valuable it is. We don't have the luxury of nonsense. You know how to strike at the right time. You've got plenty of receipts. You know how to conserve energy. You know what matters and what doesn't. Older athletes don't win because they're faster. They win because they're smarter. They know how to move, right? So it's the same with moms. Every season has an advantage, and most women don't use it because they're too busy wishing they were in another one, right? And if you can make any season of discipline feel beautiful, you can handle anything. You just need to romanticize it. Last week, we talked about how to make your content days dreamy. It's like setting up a date with yourself. I wonder if anybody's implemented that. Let me know in the comments. You pick out outfits that make you feel confident and feminine, right? And then really plan things out so you're not lost. When you're sending DMs, light a candle, make it a ritual. I was just playing Vitamin String Quartet or classical worship, put skincare on my face so it feels radiant. And then whenever I send a DM out, I bless that person. You know, Lord, give me the right words. Let me be a blessing to them today, even if they never buy. That's like our ministry. You know, I don't do sales, I connect, right? What about money management? Spreadsheets, we don't like that. We don't like that. Jazz music, maybe a latte, fresh flowers will make it more enjoyable. Maybe you have a favorite pen. I have a favorite pen. A prayer of gratitude for every dollar that came in. Right. And so the truth that most entrepreneurs never realize is that your endurance increases when your discipline feels beautiful. And I'm not even saying grit through it. I'm saying don't make it feel like a punishment because you won't stay long enough to see results. But if you make the work feel like a ritual, an art, like worship, like a feminine ceremony, oh, I'll stay here forever, girl. And that's my hack. It's mine. And that's how I can withstand uncertainty. It's just the little things. This is how I endure the fog without breaking. I make the fog feel beautiful. I romanticize the grind until it feels like a movie, like my favorite movie, like The Sound of Music. You can make discipline feel like a musical. This is what I do. You can do this in any season. Any season. So I want you guys to take shots, to experiment, to move fast, to don't overthink too much. Don't clutch onto comfort too much. Don't baby your ego too much. Ego is the enemy, right? Be willing to fail wildly because you're not protecting anything that's real. That's powerful. And when you think about it that way, fear only exists when you have something to lose. But when you realize everything you have, your money, your business, your clients, your opportunities, your kids, your house, that's borrowed from a higher power, fear has nothing to hold on to. We don't own anything. You don't own the chips. You just stored them. And guess what? God has replenished my chips daily. Right? So to stop playing like you're fragile. You're not. Play like you're called. Start playing like you're backed by heaven because you are. Start playing like the most painful thing that happened in your past didn't kill you, which means you can survive this too. You're not behind. You're strengthened. You're prepped. You're being positioned. I've coached women who are homeless or on welfare, and all of a sudden the following year, they were making multiple six figures. Single moms rebuilding their lives. Women fresh out of heartbreak. I know some of you are here. Women drowning in debt, leaving toxic jobs, and we're scared to death, and toxic relationships. And you know, the people that skyrocket the fastest are not the ones with the perfect circumstances, not the ones with savings or a supportive everything, a supportive family or partner. You know, the ones that flourish are the ones who act like they have nothing to lose. The ones who say, yeah, let's go. Let's try it. Let's risk it. Let's jump. And every single time for me, it's been that way too, when I act like I have nothing to lose. Right? Because I don't have time for self-pity. I don't have time for excuses. I don't have the luxury of being fragile. I don't stop when it's hard. I stop when God says, well done.